Yes. Welcome to Simon on the sofa. I'm actually on a sofa today with some beautiful cushions and playing my wonderful gift of chimes. If you're wondering what that is or why I'm playing those beautiful sounds, is you haven't seen it yet, but my youngest guest on the sofa, Jaden, who will be coming live soon, and is currently in the edit suite, is he gave me that wonderful chime, as you will see on the day that he gave it me, and he said you could play that at the beginning or the end of your talks, and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, thank you. So welcome. I'm with a wonderful, magnificent person today who I've just met for the first time, but have been told many, many times to speak to this magnificent being, this master in many things. I'm boosting him up. He's going to come on and just say he's none of these things, but it's because he's humble. So welcome, Joel.
My greatest gift is my humbleness. Thanks so much. It's a real pleasure to be with you here, and likewise I've heard lots of things from lots of mutual friends saying, oh, connect with Simon. You should do something with Simon. So we're finally here to have some fun together and just be ourselves. So very excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. So there's like you said, we have a few mutual friends, and I think where I'm at, I was thinking about you a lot this week, but don't tell your wife. You know, I'm at a stage at the moment, Joel, where I'm like, you know, I'm always inquiring into life. I'm always, you know, exploring where we are as individuals. And you know, when I read a little bit about just what you've been up to and your journey through, you could say through food, through healing, through Ayurveda, you know, through all these different sort of modalities of exploring the self. When I listened to one of your videos, and you was actually, I did put it as live for people to see. You was talking about how, yeah, okay, it's about food, but how does that food really connect us to ourselves? And what I took from what you was sharing was actually there's this like whole integrated, you know, holistic way of being. So today, what I'd love you to ponder this as you sort of begin your sharing. One is, you know, where are you at as yourself right now in this moment? What are you feeling? What's going on for you, you know, in your life and from your extensive, your journey? And also sharing maybe what we can bring and offer to benefit people, sharing something that maybe they haven't heard you express before, because, you know, often with interviews and talks and stuff is that we go over old ground, and ultimately if they Google you or go and search, they can research about you. So I want to capture you right where you are today, if that resonates. Okay,
great. Well, I'm literally at the Wild Food Café offices, which also happens to be our home. We have this, very blessed to have this wonderful place in Neal's Yard in Covent Garden in London. And I'm guessing you've been to Neal's Yard.
Yes, and to a cafe.
Yay. It's an oasis in London, Neal's Yard. It really is a special place. It glows and it looks and it feels like something out of Woodstock or out of 60s San Francisco. It's bright and colorful and a happy little sanctuary in the middle of a very big industrial sort of grey concrete city. So it's a very special space, and we were offered this space to co-create a restaurant and do something really sort of innovative and fun. And I probably wouldn't have done a restaurant if I hadn't been invited to do it in Neal's Yard. I've done restaurants before, and I've kind of let go of doing them because it's a very intense thing. I wouldn't say I have tons of experience in running a restaurant at all. I haven't been professionally trained as a chef or a restaurateur or any of the bits that really most people probably doing a restaurant have been involved with. But I'm very passionate about well-being, and another word for well-being that I like to use a lot at the moment is perpetuating paradise. And Neal's Yard is already an oasis, and that's really, if I created anything restaurant-wise, then I would like for it to be an oasis. That's really what London and the world requires, is for each of us to be an oasis and to create an oasis around us. Because that's really tuning into the, as far as I'm concerned, the natural nature of reality. We've already been given a planet that is paradise, and we have an opportunity and a choice in each moment to perpetuate that or to close off to it. So that's a little bit of where we are and about. There's no office space in Neal's Yard, so we do the offices at home, and for now. And it's just a great joy to be able to have this space and share these things in London, because, you know, so many people are still eating from an industrial age paradigm, and London isn't famous for being the happiest place in the world. I think I read something recently about it being at least a depression capital in the UK, if not a depression capital in the world.
Really? That was reported on the news, was it?
Something like that, some media stream. And, well, that wasn't surprising to me at all. It's part of the reason that I came to London to do this, because I've done this in other places. I've done it in the States, in India, and wherever I've traveled. And before I came back to London in 2006, when I opened a restaurant then as well, I had the choice of either going to Hawaii, which I've always wanted to do, and do something similar there. And obviously, when people think of Hawaii, it very much conjures images of paradise and well-being and nature. And I also had the chance to come back to London, and I was like, oh, so much more exciting and challenging to go into London and create the experience that I'd be looking for in Hawaii in London, and that's where it's needed more. So that's why I'm here, really. And for me, paradise means fun, it means well-being, it means being connected to nature. For me, paradise is biodiversity, and I liken biodiversity to unconditional love, because what happens in biodiversity is there's thousands of species coexisting and thriving and dancing together in unity, and that's naturally what this planet is. And when we end up living in cities and we cover things in concrete, and then our food supply comes from mono-agriculture, which is basically just taking a piece of land, acres or hectares, and chopping down all the biodiversity on there. I like to call it ethnically cleansing the land, and then there's only one species left. And then, even if it's organic, which is a huge improvement from commercial crops that are sprayed with all kinds of poisons, but still, if it's organic monoculture, there's still one species living on that piece of land, when there could be thousands of species coexisting, and we can learn to thrive in that biodiversity. So a lot of the foods that we get at Wild Food Café are wild foods, either from Wales or Scotland, or when we still get the chance, we'll go to somewhere like Richmond or Hampstead Heath and do some foraging ourselves. Apart from that, we get a few superfoods flown in dried and powdered forms from places like the Amazon and the Himalayas and Europe and all over the world. We get a few little products, and they're all products that are wild crafted. So they're harvested from biodiverse, functional ecosystems, and within those ecosystems, within a year, hundreds of things can be harvested without chopping down trees, without ruining the environment, and keeping the soil intact, keeping the immune system of all the things living in that area intact, and also ethically supporting the indigenous cultures in those areas that nurture that biodiversity. So for me, that way of living with this gift we've been given called planet Earth is so much more fun and prosperous than to go with a lesser paradigm, which just comes from limited thinking.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful what you share there. So based on that, let's talk about that, in terms of like, because that's like that's your paradise, that's the way that it can be, or that already we're being shown that it can be like that. And many other people are talking about this. So is this just, from your perspective, is this is where we're going anyway? There's nothing to worry about. This is where we're going. More awareness is coming around this, around to, like, not having to rip our resources apart and actually create, like permaculture talks about this as well, doesn't it? The way that you use nature, use the land, and then reap the rewards. Or do you feel that there's, because of big business, because of all of the money and the billions of money invested in the way that we currently do, our farming and our business, that there's just, there's going to be, it's just going to have to get, extremely more worse before it gets better? Or do you just feel that this is a natural stage of evolution?
I feel both of the things that you said, both polarities are true. Absolutely, that's the nature of reality, and life is expansion. And so all directions and both sides of the paradox are expanding simultaneously. But of course, whatever we focus on is what grows through us into our reality. And the more, if we choose the paradise end of things, and the more we focus on that and embody that and live that, the more we perceive it and the more that grows. But of course, if other people are obsessed with limited thinking, without being, judgmental, but seeing, not playing the big game, the long game, not seeing the full beauty and magnificence of who we are and the nature of reality in this planet, they'll, expand that reality. But in the end, that is a piece of the infinite reality that is paradise. Paradise and biodiversity are infinite, and who we are infinite. If we choose to be less than that, it's still within a framework and a cradle of the infinite. So, we're just simply cutting ourselves off from our full potential, which is fine. If we want to do that, we will do that for so long, but it's unsustainable within itself, but itself is within a bigger picture.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, had you finished? Carry on.
Yeah. For now, you can ask me the next question. No.
I just wanted to dive into that a little bit, because when you talk about like you said, where your focus goes, energy flows. What you focus on expands, and totally, I see how that happens from my own experience. It's like. That just happens on an individual level, sort of micro, macro. And when you talk about, like, sometimes, I don't know, I'd love to know what your sort of take on is that, ultimately everything's happening, exactly as it should. It's all being created and all unfolding. And sometimes I wonder, like, what, how do you feel around, like, are you and I that important? Are humans even that important? Or is it like we just often, for some reason, mainly through a limited thinking perspective, we seem to think that we're the importance, which seems to mess around with the whole, infinite, beautiful gift of, paradise that we've been given? What comes up to you on that place?
Okay, so from two perspectives, simultaneously, you could argue when humans are being selfish and forgetting who they truly are and being mean to themselves and each other and destroying the planet, that level of what some people call human is not that important, but that isn't who we really are. So who we really are is extremely important, each and every one of us. And a lot of our ancestors' traditions, pretty much all of our ancestors' traditions, would say that the universe is not the universe and couldn't exist without, if one grain of sand or one piece of rock went missing, then the universe would collapse. Everything is important because everything is here. If we think anything is not important, then it's suggesting that existence made a mistake. And if we suggest existence made a mistake, then we're suggesting that everything, the infinite field of oneness, is dumb, is stupid, is inept. And if we perceive life as that, we will constantly get feedback that life is dumb and stupid. The way I love to perceive and I know reality, and what lights me up and feels right within me, is that nature is infinite, reality is infinite, whether we want to call it divine. That word feels good for me, but everyone's got different things about different words, especially things like God and love and divine. If we treat it like benevolent, if we treat it like it has infinite intelligence and wisdom, we get feedback and response from nature that it is that. If we, again, with ourselves, if we treat ourselves like we are part of that infinite oneness and all things are made, as many cultures and traditions say, made in the image and the likeness of the creator, of creation, different people like to give it different words, but that's a beautiful feeling when we can feel in resonance with that. Obviously, when we're feeling disconnected or angry or depressed or the lower things that feel cut off, we don't feel connected to ourselves, we don't feel connected to the part of ourselves that is in all things. So it's much more fun to see the most beautiful version of reality, and it's empowering to live from that space.
And as you're speaking, it's always, I always have that ponder, like you said, to live in that grandest version of ourselves, and to see ourselves as that intelligence. It's almost like, for me, as we even consider that, all of that other stuff seems to strip away, because, you know, most of the suffering and the depression or whatever else, you know, the anxiety, the separation, you know, all of these other aspects of the human experience, which again, I'm not, you know, rubbishing or say run away from your shadow or don't look at these parts of ourselves, because as you wonderfully described, you know, it's the minute we start saying that that's not an aspect of the, you know, the infinite, the divine, the, you know, of what is supposed to be here, you know, then we're calling it all stupid. However, I do feel that for some reason that those areas, especially when I look at the human, just look at the human family, the human species, that the energy of that and of that depression, that feeling of unworthiness, that, you know, we're just nothing, and, you know, and so on, seems to get more, you know, more focus, like you said, more focus on, more talk. You know, it's almost like it gets more put in the limelight, doesn't it? I don't know. You know, what do you feel?
What do I feel? Well, okay, let's talk something about perceiving and understanding all the negative things within ourselves and our larger human family and our relationship with all of existence. So, of course, there's all kinds of darkness that we can look at, whether it's within ourselves. You know, we can focus at the anger and the trauma and whatever stuff within ourselves, and we can look at the anger and the trauma in the world, whether it's political situations and war and stuff like Monsanto. And I'm no way saying that we should bury our heads in the ground. Everyone should be aware of these things, but it tends to be a lot of the people that are aware of these things also then, preach to the choir, talk to the converted. And really, it's important that the whole world understands the shadow and the stuff that the mainstream media and education system don't portray. But everyone who's been exposed to that and gets it shouldn't spend their time shouting about it. You know, in my opinion, I don't want to invest my time shouting about all the negative things about the world. I don't want to get political online and on social media. I don't want to go around Monsanto bashing, politician bashing. You know, there's all kinds of things that realities and paradigms that many of us have been exposed to. I don't want to go around Illuminati bashing and all those negative, dark things that it's important for everyone to understand. But for me, I've been at a place for a while now where whenever I point at a shadow or darkness, you know the expression, you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you. So for me, what feels most empowering is not to see all those dark and heavy things as separate to me and point the finger and say, this company, this organization, this politician, this system is bad and this is wrong. As far as I'm concerned, they are a part of me, and if I exist and they exist, there's a co-creation. At some level, or multiple levels, I'm involved in them now and have been for all of time. So I can either choose to continue to focus at them outside of me or inside of me, or I can choose to focus on a higher, better feeling, more empowering, more impactful reality, and create more beauty in the world, more deliciousness, more joy, more love, more possibilities, more freedom by perpetuating paradise, which for me is something that happens on all different levels. The more happy and appreciative I can be of myself, of all the people around me, of all the circumstances, things and experiences in my life, the more that will blossom. So it's just as simple as that, really.
There you go, for our live viewers and anybody else watching the playback and the replay on this. It's as simple as that. You know, I think you said something very important there, which I feel just to repeat over is that it's that not denying the whole. You know, it's seeing, like you said at the end, it's you seeing that there's an aspect of ourselves in that, and it's about almost having that self-compassion, self-awareness, that awareness that, you know, these people who people out there may even want to point the finger at and have expectations and judgments and conditions on, but ultimately they are the same as us. You know, they're trying their best. They might be caught up in their own stories and you know, attaching themselves to parts of this experience that maybe don't resonate with us, but ultimately they're all out there exploring this mysterious, magical gift. And when we can actually see it as a paradise and a gift, and just even acknowledge daily, be grateful that we are alive, that we have this magnificent, we made it through the 250 million sperm cells, one of us made it through, and it's like, here I am, it's like, I'm here to experience. I think just allows us to enjoy life, because at the core, Joel, everybody I meet anyway along this, definitely the last 6 years, and even throughout life, of course, but being more observant in the last sort of 6 or 7 years, is that I meet so many people that are just not seeing it from that simple perspective. I meet so many people that are, struggling, not seeing themselves as a beautiful expression of creation, depressed, in a relationship that they're not thankful to say that they're in a relationship, and so on. And again, I don't want to just focus our conversation there, but I know even with the food, if we look at the food, because you're all about, the food as well, is that you see everybody making the decisions to eat the food that doesn't give them vitality and energy and zest for life, So it's that sort of dance that I find myself in as a sort of maybe a bit of a public person, where I don't want to put out, focus on the negativity. However, I really do like to share how I've seen the gift of life, in order for others to maybe just, if they choose to have a look at it from that place,
Yeah, because we've all been through it, so the best thing we can do is be compassionate, whether it's changing our food choices or, maybe deciding to drink less or smoke less or whatever, to have gone through this, to be depressed less, to be angry less. A gift within that is to be compassionate for everyone else going through it, because we've all been through all the darkness. Life is a hologram, and everyone contains everything, and everything is connected to everything. So it's really important that when we go through changes in our life, that we don't get into judgment, because if we smoke and then we decide to stop smoking, and then we turn into one of those smokers that was makes everyone else feel guilty. Or the same with, if someone chooses to stop eating meat, and then they preach about it, or they choose to be vegan, and then they go about choosing to spend the rest of their time sort of beating up a reflection of their old selves that smoked and ate meat, and make people feel guilty and hope that they're going to change and influence other people to smoke less or eat less meat by guilting them and judging them into it. And really they're just beating themselves up and causing more friction, which doesn't really perpetuate the joy and all the good things to flow. So it's really important that we're compassionate with other people, because we're being compassionate with ourselves and vice versa. So, and there's infinite ways and tips and tricks to release the heavier stuff. And the main thing is a state of playfulness. And again, it's just another, say euphemism, metaphor for paradise. Paradise is about playfulness. And if we're stuck in any self-destructive habit or way of living or focusing our energy or attention or eating, the trick is to just be more and more playful. And by playful, I mean be open to change, be open to trying new things, being open to letting go of rigidity, and to get in the dance of life, to not be so hard on ourselves, to soften up, to relax into not making everything such a big deal, to be kind to ourselves. And when we're up for that, when we get into the natural childlike state that we're all born, we'll be willing to try new foods, we'll be willing to try new experiences, we'll be willing to break all the patterns. And as soon as we get a pattern and we attach to it, which is the whole paradigm of the beauty of being being in a state of non-attachment, if we can just let go of our patterns and try new things all the time, then we become our childlike state of being. When we're all children, we all are all playful. We all ask questions and have fun and are in a state of awe and wonder. And when we're in that state, life is extra magical. And as soon as we start thinking we know it all and start rigidly attaching ourselves to the status quo and paradigms and static belief systems and dogmas, and thinking we know it all, then we shut down to the wonder, and we stop being open to the possibilities of life. So it's just about, okay, returning to the source of who we are before we've been allowed ourselves to be conditioned and programmed.
Yeah. As you said that, I had a picture of us both just standing up going. We just like the rest of the talk. We're just gonna dance and jive. It's true though. You know, it's like, isn't it like crazy, right? It's like the simplicity is divinity. I've been saying this for so long, but as you were speaking, you know, I'm all about transparency, and as you were speaking, it's like, you know, I've even like still some days, you know, I go through like that heaviness and the seriousness of life and what I want to see, you know, I want to see everyone dancing and in paradise, and I go out and I just, you know, I observe, you know, my own judgment of like how people are, like, you know, they could be just like really happy and joyous, but not necessarily showing it. But I'm like, oh, imagine one day I went down and I'd see the bus and everyone was on the bus dancing, or you walk down the road. You know, again, it's just my generalization of my expectation of what happy people might do. But still, as you were speaking, I was just observing, you know, when I went through, and I want to speak to the people that might be going through this now, because, you know, I always want these conversations to, you know, to be of benefit and bring some value to people. And I mean, what you've shared so far is really rich, you know. It's like if we can just shift our perspective in that way. And for people that are really caught in the headiness and the heaviness of and the seriousness of all of these dogmas, concepts, theories, is actually maybe, like Joel was saying, you know, dance a little, you know. As I'm talking, I've got this like these signs I've been taking out on the road that, you know, I got these signs that I just took recently at the at an event I was at, 3 hugs, right?
Yeah.
And then like you might have seen that one on my feed. You're a miracle. Yes, you.
Nice.
Right? And then like, you know, like just being on the street, 3 hugs, smile. But the thing is when you do this on the street, and you might dance in the street, or you might get people dancing and being a little bit silly. It's so, you know, it's so liberating for the people to then join in and feel like, oh wow, I can actually just let go of, you know, all of this other stuff for a moment, you know. And I think that's ultimately what people are seeking when they are going, well, you know, I used to take drugs, etc. But when we are going into like clubs and nightlife, and that seems that in society at the moment, I know this is changing, but that's like the only one of the places where people get to like let go of all the story, the noise, and the ideas and concepts, etc. Whereas
children, right? And that's why all of us, or many of us, have gone through stages in our lives from teenager onwards where we often indulge in other things to get high, because we're trying to remember the high that we naturally were as a child, which is, you know, why we shouldn't judge and beat up ourselves or other people for choosing to try and feel better, because all everyone wants to do is feel better, and our natural state is to be happy and high. And, you know, sometimes we get into partially self-destructive things to do that, but at the same time, it's better than being miserable and being self-destructive. We want to feel good. That's what it's about, right? And that's what you're doing when you go on the streets with your signs and, you know, smiling and dancing. And likewise for myself, I love to dance on the street whenever I can, and I've got lots of friends that love to do that too and are involved in movements of doing that. And, you know, whenever I'm in my own car or with someone else and we have a car and we pull up on the street, I love to turn up the music loud and dance like a total crazy bastard, like a mad jester, because that's what the world is calling for us to let go into joy. And I will even go so far as to strip off naked in London and run down the streets. Usually, last time I did it, it was a thunderstorm several summers ago, in the middle of summer, and I stripped off at my friend's restaurant and ran up to my other friend's restaurant in Camden and back in the rain with all the cars hooting and tooting, and not to show off, but just to be an embodiment of freedom and liberation in the middle of a really uptight city that London can be sometimes. And because the urge is there, the primal urge, it's summer, it's glorious summer, and then a thunderstorm happens. why would I want to deny myself? I felt the urge. I want to go outside and be naked under the elements. I want to feel free and alive and delicious and divine. So the rain stopped. I was with a friend, and I mentioned that that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, I held back, I resisted. And then the thunder clouds opened again, and the rain came down, and I was like, I'm doing it.
Amazing. And where did you run to? You run from your cafe to Camden.
From one friend's restaurant called My Village in Camden to another restaurant called Inspiral Lounge.
I know My Village. It's where I always go, and of course Inspiral Lounge as well is the other little haunt, the two cool places in Camden to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so you went straight down to Inspiral Lounge. Amazing. I know that. I lived in Camden for 6 years, so My Village. I always call him Suzuki.
Right. I can't remember the guy's names. One of them's called Suzuki or something, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and his brother, but he was there. But I think what you're expressing here is we're talking about the child mind, that natural, the natural default state of wanting to experience, or being in awe, intrigue, curiosity, to express ourselves, to be playful, to be silly, to feel liberated. So that for me is definitely, and you said something lovely, is that when we're in that state, we're then open to exploring and trying out new things and being more open to possibilities and opportunities, right?
Absolutely, and that's what we're about at Wild Food Café. It's a restaurant, but that's one way to perceive it. But we've done our best to create an oasis. The most important thing there, and we do everything we can to not just say it, but to live it. The most important thing is the team. My beloved and I, Aiste, who started the cafe, we love love, and a big part of why the cafe happened is our love and appreciation of ourselves, which is how we attracted each other, and that celebration, that relationship in the restaurant and the cafe. And we have an amazing team around us, and we get plenty of compliments on the food, but we get so many compliments on the team, and that's because we appreciate the team so much, and we see the team's true self. We don't use words like staff and employees. These, we recognize and know ourselves as our divine, authentic, playful, innocent, fun selves. Aiste and I, and that's how we see the team. That's how we see our suppliers. Obviously, different people see themselves in that light to different degrees. But the more the team feel appreciated, and they have this amazing place to co-create, to share joy. Okay, it could be defined as a job, but really, we would like the team to come in and have the best day ever every day, to make food with love, and they're obviously only going to do that if they feel loved and appreciated, and then to serve our guests. Again, we don't call them customers. We don't have a restaurant to make money. We have this space to create more well-being, vitality, and bliss in London. That's our top line. Of course, part of that, at some level, we have to make it turn over and be financially buoyant, but it's secondary. So because of that, a lot of people love coming in. We like for all of us to recognize the possibility and the potential that each person that comes in their door, we can be an embodiment of joy for them and with them, and to create this space that's an oasis in London where it's fun, everyone feels present with each other, appreciated with each other, everyone loves being there, everyone's doing what they love and is loving what they do, making beautiful foods with the highest quality ingredients, and living hospitality. Hospitality is such an important part of food. You can have the most technically perfect, nutritious food, but of course that's only going to be down to someone's one-pointed perception of what is right and wrong in terms of food. But if you haven't been served with the greatest hospitality, that meal can be ruined. And at the same time, you could go into fast food place, junk food place, and eat pretty mass-manufactured, industrially aged food, and be given the most amazing hospitality, and you might feel better after that experience than being served by someone who's having a miserable moment in a healthy food restaurant. So hospitality is key, you know, and it's an expression, an authentic expression of who we are in our fullest potential, is to be hospitable and welcoming. So it's such a key part. The vibe is paramount.
Totally. And what you're pointing to there is almost, you know, you're talking about also there's a sort of theme coming through now, but of a more conscious business as well, because what you're talking about is where you're having people that want to be there 100% of their time. It's like that's what they want to do. So even just turning up from that place, you sort of almost take out the word work, you know, from work. You know, you're bringing in the idea of play, which I feel is more of what you know, conscious business is about. Because if you find people that really want to be where they want to be, then you know why is the separation of you know, work, private life, and so on? It's more like this is a whole, like you said at the beginning of the conversation, the whole biodiversity is like enjoying every facet of what you're doing, you know, and what you're contributing to, and how you're showing up. So it sounds like you're being very, you know, your team and yourself are very, just bringing in that conscious perspective, you know, and that loving way of coming together. And I've seen some of the pictures, and I watched the video of you and your staff all singing and dancing while you were preparing some food.
Nice.
Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, sure do. So we do our best. We have a team breakfast every morning before we open, and we do something wild and crazy. Sometimes we'll dance. We'll do our best to dance every day. We'll scream, we'll shout, we'll howl like wolves. We'll have a group orgasm with all the windows open, and all the neighbors are like, what is going on up there? Then we'll open the doors. You know, we'll just like, we'll tune in, we'll have a prayer, which is basically taking a moment to be appreciative of ourselves and the potential of this present moment, of this day, of this opportunity, of this potential to be an offering of our fullest joy, magnificence to the world. And we'll let out a big screaming group orgasm, and then we'll open the doors and let our guests in. And, you know, just do fun things all the time. That's what it's about. You know, like you said, I don't believe in the word work at all. More my parents' generation, lots of people think, you know, you only get somewhere in life if you work really hard. And I understand there's a beautiful essence within what they're saying. They're saying, be authentic and give it your all. But the whole idea of work, I think nature and the universe looks at the word work and laughs, because things happen in the universe and on the planet Earth, but it's a beautiful aspiration. It's a flowing creation, which doesn't have to be seen as work. Work is such a word with heaviness to it, and drudgery, and people working things that they don't really want to do. Everyone's got a different, unique gift, a different elemental energy. Some people are better with, you know, introvert, extrovert. Some people are better with the big picture, and some people are better with detail. And everyone's going to be true to themselves, and by everyone being true to themselves, they become complementary. There's a great analogy comparing it to the elements. Some people are more like air, and some people are more like earth, and some people are more like fire, and some people are more like water. And if you put those together in the right mix, there's a creative cycle. And if you get people are forced to be inauthentic, and an air person is forced to be like fire, you know, there's a friction. And if things are out of balance, then the elements destroy each other, and it's a destructive cycle. But if everything can just be allowed to be true to itself, and everyone true to itself, then real co-creativity and deliciousness happens. And it's not work, and it's not suffering.
Yeah, totally. So again, you know, it's lovely, isn't it? It's just pointing to, I feel anyway, it's more pointing just to letting go. Today has been about that. I watched a couple of videos this morning, and you know, I did my morning practice, and you know, it's just like, ultimately it's pointing to constantly just, you know, letting go, and you know, and just enjoying and being, you know, here. And I know that is so, it's, you know, to some extent we're privileged, you know. I feel very grateful and privileged that I even, you know, can sit in a flat, be on a computer, having a lovely conversation with you, somebody I've just met and, you know, and spoken to, and listen to your views on the world and how you see things, and just get the opportunity to connect and meet people. You know, I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world, and I've probably met I probably haven't even met 1,000 people, like properly met 1,000 people. Okay, I might have been in places where there's 1,000 people, I might have been places, but actually to have spoken to and connected to and had an experience with, I wouldn't even say 1,000 people. It's probably not even close to 1,000 people. You know,
Yeah.
out of 7 billion people on this planet, you know, with all these beautiful, you know, views and expressions and uniqueness. And, you know, we walk around thinking that we're bored, you know, we're bored and we've got nothing to do. And it's like there's so much to explore and hear and experience. And, you know, that's the wonder that I feel sometimes. I know for myself, I wasn't aware of and missed. And I just see that it's so, yeah, you call it, I like the word, I might start using this word because you're all about food as well. It's delicious.
Yes, absolutely. And what's deliciousness? Deliciousness is, well, the perception of it is appreciation, and it's all down to appreciation. Like you're saying, letting go of all the things that we don't appreciate, and instead focusing on ways to appreciate everything. It's all down to appreciation. One of our sort of taglines is the alchemy of appreciation, or perpetuating paradise to the alchemy of appreciation, which is basically that we can transform all of our situations and circumstances in our personal lives and on the planet through getting into being appreciative. And that, obviously, the center of appreciation has to start with us. We're the eye of the storm. And if we're not appreciating ourselves, our body, our mind, who we are, our hearts, our truth, if we're not appreciating ourselves, we can't appreciate further out in the circle, other people, other things. So it all starts with appreciation. So my life and what our creations are about is appreciation. So the easiest way to do that for me is asking questions. It's something that we all do as children. Everyone, you know, all our ancestors, many great luminaries have always said, life is about asking beautiful questions. Whether it's the Buddha or Anthony Robbins is famous for saying the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions we ask. So it's not asking questions like, oh, why am I such a dumbass? Oh shit, why does this always happen to me? Those are questions that are embedded with negativity, and you will only manifest negativity from them. Beautiful questions are, one of my favorites at the moment is, how can I infinitely appreciate the divine perfection of our earth? Or how can I infinitely appreciate the divine perfection of this life? By asking that question, it is pregnant. It is a spiked and loaded question. Because by asking such a question, you are infusing and inviting creation, existence, life to show you how to be infinitely appreciative of the divine perfection. And even if you're feeling like, oh, what divine perfection? There's war going on, or, you know, that person's eating McDonald's. You know, if you get into that state, you're not in a mode of infinite appreciation. So get into some infinite appreciation and notice that we either believe we've come from some dumb, stupid universe, as is kind of the limited perception of life many of us were taught at school. Like, oh, you know, life's an accident. When people got into the theory of evolution, oh, you know, it's just an accident and just a bunch of cold, dry science with very little soul. Or we can choose that life is a consciousness. And obviously, if all of life is a field of oneness, that oneness is going to be benevolent, it's going to be loving, it's going to be wise, it's going to be joyful, it's not going to be heavy and stupid and self-destructive and vengeful and anything limiting. Life is going to be so glorious we can't even put it into words. And the problems have only existed for humanity and the rest of this planet because of a lack of appreciation that we've been given perfection, and it's our duty to perpetuate that perfection. For me, a lot of people have issues with the word perfection, as I once did, because the way we're taught about the word perfection is very static and limited, and that's why we've got a word like perfectionism and people being miserable because they're stuck in perfectionism. I don't see perfect as a static thing. Right now, I feel like this moment is the most perfect moment in all of creation. And the moment before it was also the most perfect moment, but I don't have to get into comparison and judgment between the two. And the next moment, it's going to be even more perfection, because I'm appreciating the gift instead of getting into a state of judgment and comparison and not appreciation. And it's the same with, when we appreciate ourselves, our lives become more magical. When we appreciate our bodies become more responsive. When we feed our bodies better, we nourish our bodies better, we focus on better emotions, we think better thoughts, and these are really important things. And when we appreciate that every single blade of grass and insect and animal and elemental force on this planet has a purpose, has a really intelligent, divine purpose, including ourselves. The more we can appreciate that, the more we see it, instead of just seeing like, damn, bees or wasps or ants, or, to not appreciate any element of nature, to forget that, wow, that's something really magical that's being created. We put a lot of stock in our technology and devices, and we think our Samsung phone or our iPhone or our car is like, latest 0.6 version, 2014 issue, high technology item. And these things are wonderful. We're using the internet and computers right now to communicate, so I can only appreciate them. But I appreciate them within the context of, this is a beautiful creation that humans have made. At the same time, how can we compare that to the beauty and magnificence and the level of design that is within this body? This body is the perfect piece of design and perfect architecture. And the other family of bodies that we live within, the body and the design of the planet Earth, the body and the design of even a mosquito or a blade of grass, there is such a level of genius and technology within there that all these living creatures that we are talking about are eternal beings. They can regenerate themselves, they can continue themselves forever. There is no modern scientific technological device that has the level of genius and intelligence that's in even a bacteria, because that bacteria can regenerate and live forever within itself, or if we're talking about the fact, give birth to itself again and again, more and more generations. And I'm sorry, but the latest iPhone or whatever, as great as that may be, life expectancy 1 to 3 years, and requires an external power source and this, that, and the other. The level of things that are created by bio-spiritual technology, which all living things are on this planet, if we can really appreciate that, and we are at the center of that, we can only appreciate them by appreciating that we are the pinnacle of that is experiencing that is experiencing the dog, the fox, the bear, you name it.
Yeah.
And people might think, oh, it's just a watermelon, but that watermelon it's close to an eternal being and brilliant, and so many creatures interact with the life cycle of that watermelon, and that watermelon has seeds that will grow more watermelons, that will grow more watermelons forever, and happen to be deliciously colourful and tasty and nourish so many creatures that eat it. And we've really got to appreciate on that level that there's a level of technology that's way above us, way above things made out of metal and that use electricity and that are made in factories that pollute. Some of them pollute a lot, some pollute less. But the factory, the divine factory, is the biological brilliance that is spiritually infused and from source. And the more we can appreciate that, you can see I'm just getting excited like crazy about watermelons.
Yeah, but I thought it might be a good opportunity with that expression of your appreciation and your appreciation for life, and to show the chocolate fruit. But just before, not the chocolate, is it called a chocolate fruit?
It's called a cacao pod. You call it a chocolate fruit. Chocolate fruit covers the chocolate or nut.
Let's see it. Show us your chocolate fruit, you wild, well-being man.
Nice, big, beautiful, excited specimen. Very ripe, going purple, and it's time to open it. I'm even tempted to open it for you.
Really? I've never seen. I've never seen one before until now. You just showed me the biggest chocolate fruit ever. So I'd love to. Yeah,
so, as an offering to you and all our guests, I'm going to go grab my knife and we can open that.
Yeah, let's open it. Wonderful. So live on Google Hangouts, Simon on the sofa, we're about to open a chocolate fruit.
You never know. You just never know what's going to happen. There might be a small creature in here. Okay. All right. So that is a cacao pod. What comes from Colombia, and it's very rare that you can get things in England up until now. I actually have smuggled a few in, disguised as papayas in the past, but there's some wonderful people that are bringing them into the country right now. So hopefully I can open it where you can see it. It's quite hard and tough, the outer shell, but within you see the beans. And bearing in mind that I'm having a conversation online.
Yeah. Bear in mind you're cutting that chocolate fruit open with love and appreciation.
Yeah. Of my fingers also.
Please do not cut your fingers off on the show.
Okay, deal. Okay, let's give this a go. Oh. Did you see that?
Yeah, wait there. Just hold it softly so that, because the picture's gone a bit pixelated because you were moving a lot. Yeah, that's it. Just let it settle. Wow. So go on. So that's holding the seeds in there.
Yeah. You see all that white stuff? That is all like gooey fruit, like the inside of a cherry moya or a custard apple. And within that, you can see, hopefully, the shell has gone a bit. Let me see what you're seeing. A bit manky on the end there, but you can see some seeds in there.
Yes.
Some beans, and I don't know if you can make it out, but they are a wonderful shade of purple.
Yeah, I can see them just as a bit of purple. Yeah, now the actual chocolate bean.
Yeah, that's the chocolate bean, and when it's really fresh, it's purple, and it's at its most potent and even psychoactive. So, cacao fruits. We can go into that a bit more if you'd like, but it doesn't smell much when it's in this state. But you can whack that in the blender, or just eat it as it is. It's quite bitter. The fruit isn't very sweet, and the seeds are very bitter. And those bitter compounds are alkaloids and many things that nourish our biochemistry, especially our heart and our brain and our third eye, our pineal gland. But they tend to be quite bitter, so most people aren't accustomed to chocolate in that intensity. So a little bit of coconut sugar or honey with it, or some more fruit, great. Or you can whack it in a blender with some more of the traditional chocolate, which has been dried and fermented, which concentrates it and makes that rich blend.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and for cutting it open. You have to use it now today and use it in one of your dishes of some kind or juice it. So I can see, like, look, I love these conversations. I've just been having them for a long time, and I love. They always fly by. I just could be talking. I could go into any one area that we just mentioned, and we could probably talk for hours. And I always say that to people that I managed to find so many. Everyone's just beautiful, right? You can just have a great conversation with anyone. When somebody's willing to have a conversation with you, you can just have such a great conversation with absolutely anybody. So I just want to. I think I want to, like you shared a lot before about the appreciation, and I think that I wanted to, as you was talking, I wanted to share with people that throughout the journey that I've been on, the journey, I love the word journey, but without just this life path, is that what Joel was speaking about, when you actually appreciate every aspect of ourselves. So even if we don't judge all this other dark stuff that we spoke about, which we've already called dark stuff, which dark stuff means bad in some way, we've already attached and associated our judgments to this. When we appreciate just like Joel said, every aspect of ourselves, then actually whatever you're experiencing is okay. It's like, so even if you're experiencing some struggle, it's like appreciate that struggle for what it's showing you right now. You're experiencing a separation in your relationships. Like, you know, appreciate the fact that you're in that space to see what it's showing you. You know, like bring appreciation to your life on a whole can actually transform it. You actually become an alchemist. You become an alchemist of energy. You transmute the experience that you're having, and you actually start to again, just using Joe's expression, but you start to dance with life. You might not want to run naked up the road, but if you do, great. You might, you know, that's optional. But
what
you can.
What do you do? Be true to it and follow it through, right?
Guys, sorry, what did you say? Say that again, Joe.
Whatever feels like a true urge within you, that feels like something that's really you being your gift to life and you being free and authentic, is, you know, to suppress that is crazy. Humans have done that for too long.
Yeah, totally, and I get today from perpetuating. I was wondering what to call our talk, and at one point popped up was perpetuating paradise. You've said a lot of wonderful things that we could call our talk. So there's something that's just been popping up for me. So I'm going to throw it out there and just see how you feel and how we can sort of maybe close our conversation today. Two things actually. One is that you're welcome to, if there's anything that you feel you haven't shared or you'd like to share, or a message to the people that will find this video, because we have this opportunity through this experience to be here now in gratitude. And also, like, I remember somebody a long time ago, and I can't remember who it was now, and they said that Joel was a bit of a revolutionary, and he's quite controversial sometimes, and I wondered if that was in relation to just life, the way that you show up, maybe the way that you see food or health or whatever. So I don't know what comes up from any of those two places, but it just felt like we hadn't finished just yet, and give you that opportunity to share.
I'd love to start with the second question first. So, yeah, to be ourselves, to be free of dogma and the limiting education that we may have been given. As much as education can be great, if we're just learning dogma, then it's limited. So it's essential that we are all rebellious and revolutionary in our own way. To be ourselves and to not blindly follow the herd, we have to be controversial. It's essential, and that's one thing about why we're really passionate about wild foods and raw foods, and basically foods that come from paradise. That's both foods that come from functional, biodiverse ecosystems. That's either wild ones, but the real gift is to spend time observing nature that happens in the wild, and then perpetuating that. So there's a very basic fact that we can all look up on Wikipedia or Google, and that's that there's 7 billion of us on the planet. And there is enough land for every single person on the planet to have between 1 and 3 acres or hectares. There is enough land for every single person to have. The way I'm seeing the internet now, the internet is like everyone can have a plot. Everyone can have a patch of cyber paradise. And what the internet is showing us is that there's enough space for all of us to have our own channel. And the internet is our manifestation that is showing us, reflecting to us, back to us, that okay, we can do it on this cyber internet thing, but what the lesson in it is that the planet is an internet on itself, is a divine internet. This technological internet has only come as a manifestation to show us that the planet, the intelligence in this life that's interconnected, this oneness of internet of life exists, and this whole planet, we can all have our own website, which is basically all of us are entitled to a garden. And only because we have this idea that people own land and control land, the fact is there's enough land for everyone. And every other species on this planet probably loves that idea of the way we treat land and share land. If we could all have our own voice, if we can all have our own website, YouTube channel, Facebook page, and the fact that there's literally enough land for everyone to have a piece of land, and everyone can have their self-sovereignty and divinity and interdependence to embody that paradise. And ironically, one of the things that we're really passionate about at Wild Food Café and while we exist is, although we're food business by some standards, our business is about allowing people and clarifying for people to perceive that food is free. Ironically, we make money through food to perpetuate the message that food is free. But all of our funds go into this paradise paradigm. Because basically, the way we were given this planet from the infinite intelligence that created it is that there is food everywhere for everyone to enjoy. All these living things, all these fruits, vegetables, plants, you name it, fungi, roots, leaves, barks, were given for us to enjoy free food forever, free fresh air forever, free fresh, refreshing, hydrating water forever. And that's why we're here, to show that. And, you know, we've got to fund that little project of ours, so we make some delicious food, but we make sure that everything that it comes from is that. And that is the great revolution and rebellion, is that each of us are gardeners. Every single religious and spiritual system on the planet that I've come across, and I'm not saying that I've come across absolutely all of them, they all speak about our origin, and our origins being paradise. But many religions and dogmas thought that, oh, paradise is when you die, or paradise is separate, or paradise was an illusion, or we can never get back there. Paradise is where we focus on appreciating it. And yeah, what a rebellious and revolutionary act for each of us to be a gardener. If we all come from paradise, and it's an opportunity for all of us to learn that the living thing on this planet has a purpose. And by creating a garden, we create a miniature ecosystem for us to learn, okay, what is the role of the ant? What is the role of the bee? How do you get the most amazing cucumbers? And a lot of people are like, why is someone making cucumbers? This guy's weird. But the fact is, most people probably haven't tried a cucumber straight off the vine grown with love by someone with a master gardener. And I'm saying cucumbers, it can be your favorite fruit or vegetable, you name it. So the other thing that you asked about, what was the question before?
Which one? The first one?
Question.
The first one. Well, the first one was, I think what you just shared there, Joe, was that
together.
So they sort of were both together, but I mean, because what you shared was actually a sort of a message or an invitation to people if they wanted to take that up. You know, the idea of actually that seeing the manifestation of the internet as like even the amount of land that we have, and then everyone being gardeners. But that was the sort of, you know, the visionary in you. And then yeah, the first question was just, is there anything that you felt that you hadn't shared that we have this opportunity to, if you feel to?
Just an invitation to everyone to come and enjoy and celebrate at Wild Food Café, to feel free to come on our courses. We teach about food and nutrition and food preparation, but basically it's all within the ecosystem of sharing the vibe we're about and tuning into and appreciating this infinite intelligence of nature. Because when nature is thriving, you know, if I say the word nature, it's easy to think, oh,
stop there, Joe. Because the reception went a little bit funny, and I want you to probably start that again, because it sounded like you was dropping out. So just give it a moment and see if the connection comes back. Because you said, start from where you said that you do workshops and courses around wild food, and the invitation to come to the Wild Food Cafe, and then go from there. It might be just sometimes what happens at the moment, it might be because we've been speaking for an hour or so, is when you move, it sort of glitches and then I lose your voice a tiny bit.
Okay. Still.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, it's all within the ecosystem, I'm saying. You know, we teach about food, appreciating food, the fact that there's bountiful paradise that the planet is providing, but within the ecosystem of the whole consciousness of realizing that it's about so much more than the food, but the food is a part of it. It's about us and our true magnificent identity and potential. So we just released our ebook yesterday for Aiste's birthday. There's a free ebook available for anyone who'd like to sign up at our website with 11 delicious recipes and a little bit about us and what we love to share.
Nice.
And as my beloved likes to say, something along, let your life be an expression of thriving. And
your wife's there with you now?
Yes.
Let's see that wonderful woman.
No, she's shy.
She's shy. She's staying there.
Gorgeous co-creating.
Hey, how are you? Okay.
Very good, thank you.
How do you feel the conversation's gone with your beautiful husband?
It's always beautiful to listen to him.
Oh.
Yeah. His message really clearly and powerfully.
Yeah, beautiful, and thank you for supporting him, because I know that with the man coming together, if you want, as we say goodbye, but the man is always a reflection of his the strength of his woman as well. So I'm sure that your support is paramount.
The magic happens through this appreciation firstly of ourselves as individuals, and then wow, to come together and unite the polarities of male and female and all that symbolizes. I just want to thank my beloved for all the love she pours into everything and all the genius she shares. By being authentic to herself, and really that comes down to being happy. All happiness comes down to is being appreciative.
Yeah.
That's the person I've ever met, because I'm so grateful for everything. And, each of us could be grateful for everything, and our life could be amazing. And in one moment, we can choose to get into a pity spiral and start being ungrateful for stuff, and everything turns to crap in our hands, individually and collectively. So it's a investment to appreciate. And when you appreciate your investment, you become infinitely wealthy.
Yeah, so like you say, the power is in the appreciation. I can see Aiste just nodding in appreciation.
That's it.
Thank
you so much, Simon, for taking the time to co-create a little deliciousness with us.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. So I'm going to just I'll say my goodbyes to these wonderful people. Hello, everybody out there who's watched us live. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed me and Joel just waxing lyrical and dancing a little bit and being childlike and sweating, as I love to sweat in this lovely hot country. And yeah, just as always, please look at the links underneath, subscribe and share if you feel that somebody you love or somebody you know would benefit from what we've been sharing. There's a lot there to absorb and digest. Sorry if for any reason the line dropped out at any point. Sometimes that happens on these live feeds, but just yeah, whatever comes through to you is what you need to hear or will benefit you in some way. So I think Perpetuating Paradise I've taken from Joel Gazdar today, and living as the child, free to express your magnificence, is what I'm going to walk away from what Joel shared. And whatever you take, and just, you're alive. You're alive. I mean, that's enough. If nothing else, you just celebrate your aliveness today. Then wherever you are on the planet, have an amazing time whenever you watch this. Morning, night, daytime, with friends, with family, whatever. So thank you so much, Joel and Aiste. Lots of love. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Simon. Bye. Thanks, everyone.